how can I get involved with this property, make the most amount of money with the least amount of effort and in the least amount of time? Hey guys, welcome to Flipping Houses Live. My name's Brock Collins. Today we're going to talk about real estate wholesaling and flipping homes. Flipping houses just like this property right here. Why I want to walk you through this one. And this is a property, this is a house that I had wholesaled, and what I want to talk about is the buying part of it. And I made an offer on this property about a year ago, and the deal kind of went cold. And so the reason I tell you, and I want to give you a little secret about wholesaling houses, is that follow-up on deals like this is so imperative. Here's why. The guy never called me back. So what I did is I sent him letters and I sent him postcards, you know, like this. No commissions, no fees, and selling as is condition. Now, the reason this was important is because he never sold his house. And I knew at some point he wanted to sell in as is condition. All right. So this is our house we're talking about. He wanted to sell in as is condition. Now, we were so close on a deal, and the deal was really, there was a lot of profit in it. But this guy was so stuck on getting $3,000 more out of me. And it was fine. I was totally fine with it. And I didn't give him any trouble at all because I knew the numbers just worked. So if I can give him what he wanted, he could sell in as is condition. He was moving out of the state. He just wanted to wash his hands of this property. So when wholesaling real estate, sometimes it's important to know, don't get really caught up in every little dime and dollar, because sometimes you'll walk over a lot of money. So know your numbers, know your metrics, and know how and when you can be at your threshold, and that's enough, all right? So let me show you the inside of this house. This was a really basic-ish house. This guy was a single guy. He'd lived there for 30 years. So as you can see, you know, we've got paneling. We've got, you know, just old kind of yuck bathroom. This is the living room. And I don't know if you can see it in the pictures, but all of the yellow on the walls is nicotine. He had white walls, and they turned yellow from 30 years of smoking inside there. Even the cabinets, if you were to run a paper towel across the front of them, they'd peel off just yellow muck. It was pretty gross. So this house, if we weren't going to look at this and think we're going to, you know, use this in real estate wholesaling, if we weren't looking from that angle, if we were going to look at a different angle, maybe a fix and flip, maybe a cash flow rental properties, both of those options would have worked for this one because it's really not that bad. The shell was just fine. So let's look at the kitchen. Here's the kitchen. Like I said, it's kind of basic. It just really needed clean. It's not bad. Someone could rent it, move in it right away, and enjoy it. So what we're looking for, here's a garage, and here's the backyard. So this is a pretty basic house here. Good shells, good bones, good price, and not a bad deal, right? Okay, so here's what we want to think through. Why would we think about, if we're looking at this and thinking about this real estate and wholesaling this piece of property, other than fixing and flipping it, or other than keeping it as a cash flow property? The numbers work on pretty much any angle. Here's what you need to know about this property. It's okay. It was dirty, needed a little cleanup, fix up. It was a good house. It was just parked right on the edge of a really, really tough area. And I mean tough. And I mean so tough that you probably wouldn't sleep at night. You would be looking at the ceiling and peeking out the windows, and it's one of those things. So I didn't want this as a cash flow property, and if I were to fix and flip this, which the numbers would have worked, I'm not sure we would have been able to retail at a real retail number. So that kind of like threw me off. So I decided we're just going to wholesale this real estate here, and we're going to make some money and move on. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk you over to the whiteboard right now. We're going to go over numbers. We're going to see how it all broke down and why I decided to go and use the exit strategy to profit flipping this home than any other option that was on the table. I'm going to show you what they were. Let's go to the whiteboard. Okay, now that we're at the whiteboard, I'm going to show you how the numbers broke down. This is really interesting. I want you to like take the line and see what I mean. So let's start with this. There was two buyers looking at this property. One was our wholesale cash buyer, and the other was our Wish I could spell. Let's try it again. The other was our wholesale buyer. And there's a big difference, usually. In this case, there wasn't a ton of difference, but enough to make a difference in the deal, all right? So, off my cash buyers list from the wholesale side, I was asking $60,000 for this property. And this wholesale, or my cash buyer, wanted to wholesale this house and pay me $52,000. You might say, Brock, that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't matter because at this point, I haven't told you what I paid for it, okay? What I had it under contract for, okay? So just so you know, I had this property under contract for $33,000. Now, you're saying, okay, Brock, that looks good to me, right? That looks good. Let's go. Okay, I was close. And I was going to sign a contract with him, and then he told me this. Hey, I'm not actually able to pay cash. I've got to get commercial financing. And the other hiccup with this guy was he had to wait for 3 to 4 weeks before he could get the commercial funding because he was locked into another deal that hadn't closed out yet. So this cash buyer that says he's a cash buyer now needs 3 to 5 weeks, and it's contingent on the commercial loan. Now, commercial loans typically go through. If you are a real estate investor investing today in real estate and you've done a commercial loan, chances are you'll do the next one and the next one. It's not heavy underwriting if you are an experienced real estate investor, okay? So if you're wholesaling houses or just flipping homes, a lot of investors use commercial loans, which is okay. And as a wholesaler, it's okay to look at this, but you got to know the downside of it. I wanted to close in a week. He wants 3 to 5 weeks. I'm okay with his price, but I was going to negotiate that he pay me more. So when he told me all of this stuff in 3 to 5 weeks, I said, you know, this may not be work, okay? When you're at a spot that you can get the money, maybe we should circle back then. In the meantime, I'm going to keep it out there to my other cash buyers. Okay. Now, he's a 52. In the meantime, I get an offer on the wholesale side with a real estate agent. Keep in mind, I don't have this property listed on the market. It's not for sale listed, but I do know a lot of realtors. They call me and say, hey, do you have any like deals my buyers can buy, do a little work themselves, and still have equity in the backside? So I got that call. And I told the lady, the real estate agent, I left a key box on there so she could walk through this vacant property. And she took her clients through. And the next day she says, hey, Brock, my guy wants to give you $56,000 instead of $60,000. Keep in mind, this is a conventional loan. There's a big difference between a commercial loan and a conventional loan. Underwriting is the biggest problem. So I was less interested in this deal going through a conventional loan than I would have been on a commercial loan or a cash buyer. Okay, remember, as we're real estate wholesaling right now. We're looking to get out of these properties as soon as we can, not have a lot of holding cost, if any, and just be in, be out, be done, right? So I still could have, so I couldn't really wholesale to this guy because he wasn't a cash buyer. He needed more time than my contract would have allowed, okay? So I'm opening the doors to other people. So now what happens is my investor guy and my retail buyer here, my wholesale buyer, find out about each other because I tell the realtor, hey, I've got someone else involved here, so if your guy wants in, he's got to give me my $60K. If not, I'm most likely going to sell it to my cash buyer who wants to buy it in a few weeks. I thought this would kick these people out, but it didn't. What they said is, Let us get back to you in the morning. In the meantime, I took this over here to our investor buyer. Mr. Investor Buyer, I've got another person who wants to buy this house. Chances are they're going to give me my full 60. Would you give me the full 60 and close in 2 to 3 weeks, max, and guarantee it by putting down non-refundable money? So my cash buyer says, okay, I will give you your $60K. I'll pay that now that he knows these other people are involved and want it, and that was real. It wasn't fake. It was real. But he still needs 3 to 5 weeks. So, it's like, okay, now I'm getting excited. I'm at my price now. I'm getting pretty excited about this, right? So I wasn't sure which way I was going to go, and these people called me back in the morning. This real estate agent calls me and says, my people will give you 60 grand if you take our offer right now. And I said, I have another buyer who's already offered me 60 grand. So what I need you to do is guarantee that you can close this in 3 weeks with a conventional loan. It's almost unheard of, right? So typically 4, 5 weeks maybe on some deals, right? So I was just trying to push the envelope and try to get it done in 3 weeks. So before I made a decision, I said, I want to know who this lender is. It's important. If it's an internet lender, an out-of-state lender, a national brand lender, I'm not interested. This happened to be, for this wholesale buyer, happened to be a local bank. And the local banks that make decisions in-house. So it's important to understand the difference. And I knew this local bank. And I've done deals with clients from there before that have got funded through them. So I was fine with this. So what I did is I went ahead and said, all right, if we can close in 3 weeks, which I was prepared to let it go on further because I knew chances are it would, but I wanted them to agree and really push, get all their documents into the lender and not like waste time. So they agreed to it. And so this is how the numbers turned out. So remember, we're talking about wholesaling and, from houses and real estate and why you take one direction over the other. So let's see how the numbers worked out. So sold this property. It actually closed out for $60K. All right, so that was my sale price. I bought the property, $33K. Now, I bought the property. And you might be saying, wait a minute, Brock, that's not wholesaling real estate. That's not how you do wholesaling houses and stuff. And I know, in most people's mind. But I look at it outside of a different bounds. Because if we can do this business and we can do it with none of our own money, it still makes sense. So I'm going to show you what that means in just a minute. Also, in this deal, I paid the real estate agent about $4,000. Round that up there, okay? The other thing that came out is interest. $500 in interest, okay? So, this money right here, $33,000, was not my money. Could have been, but it wasn't. This was a private money lender. And what they did is had money in the bank that they weren't earning any interest on, and they said, Brock, we'll give it to you for this time, and if this time to this time, if we're not paid back, we get this much, this much, this much, and it was only interest. They did not get a piece of the house. Nothing here, okay? Nothing of the house, no interest of the house, just interest on their money. So because this was such a short turnaround, it was less than 4 weeks, that I owed them $500 in interest. This is commission, okay? So $60,000 minus what I paid for, minus the real estate commission, minus the $500 in interest, left me with a profit of $22,500 not fixing the house. So, when we're talking about flipping homes, a lot of people will go in, and in many markets, if people are making $10,000 doing a fix and flip, they're happy. I would not be remotely happy fixing and flipping, going through all the rugged stuff of flipping houses for 10,000 bucks. Just wouldn't happen. However, I would wholesale and I would also wholesale for that kind of money. So there's a difference. Not swing a hammer, not swinging a hammer, not investing money in the property, not investing money in the property, not fixing the property up, not fixing the property up. You see where I'm going with this? So again, I'm looking for, with real estate deals, okay, when I'm wholesaling houses, I'm looking for how can I get involved with this property, make the most amount of money with the least amount of effort and in the least amount of time. So I would venture to tell you on this same property, if I were to go in and flip this home, if I were to flip it and do a full retail rehab, by the time that I had the fix-up cost, the holding cost, in fix-up costs, I mean new kitchen, new bathroom, new roof, new windows, updating the outside, fixing things up, carpet, paint, all that good stuff. Between that price, holding costs, real estate commissions, and my end sale price, chances are, in this neighborhood, I would have ended up making about that same amount. So let me ask you a question. When you're thinking about like wholesaling real estate and flipping homes, if you looked at both pictures here, would you rather make this kind of dollars doing nothing and no fix-up and no touchy and in and out, the most amount of money in the least amount of time? Or would you like to make this to a 3 to 4 month project, make it pretty and get pretty pictures of it so you can look back on it for 20 years and say, look what I did for the same amount of money? Right? Now, this is an example. This is mine, and so I can't say that you'll make the same amount or have any results for that matter. This is what I'm doing, right? But if you look at each sides of the fence here, between flipping the home or wholesaling or wholetailing, these make more sense. So when I'm looking at properties, I'm looking at all of these angles to see which makes the most sense. And a lot of times it has to do with what neighborhoods are they in. If this property right here was not in that gray area, that like real tough neighborhood, if it was in a nicer neighborhood, I might consider going this here. I might. If my numbers showed that I'm double or triple this number for a 1 to 2 month project, right? So, but when we're looking at properties, I started wholesaling houses, and then I got into wholetailing houses, and then I got into flipping homes, and then I got into cash flow properties. So as you graduate up in your line, if you choose, these are wholesaling, wholetailing, flipping homes, and cash flow properties are really the 4 main strategies that I look at for every property that I'm going to make an offer on. So as you're thinking about these, I hope this makes more sense. So I've got more videos like this that I'm going to walk you through real life properties that I'm doing in today's market, okay? Some are going to be wholetailing, some are going to be wholesaling houses, some are going to be flipping homes, some are going to be cash flow properties, but I'm going to walk you through the dynamics of the numbers and the whys, why I chose to do this. Now, for you watching right now, maybe you choose to go a different route. That's okay. Everyone can do their own direction, and that's cool. But I've got more videos that I want to share with you like this, so if you haven't subscribed to this channel, just subscribe to the Flipping Houses Live channel right now on YouTube. Also, if you want to watch my free private training that I had in my members tightened area of my membership area, you can go to flippinghouses.live.com right now, grab my free video training, and I've got it up for a limited time, so I hope it's still up when you go check it. But check it out. I think you'll absolutely love it. We're going to dive deeper into wholesaling, wholetailing, and a little bit on why this makes more sense sometimes as well. So Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. And be sure to subscribe and get more videos just like this.